Laura. How are you doing today?
Hi, Amy. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I just want to first thank you for coming back in. I know it's been a while since we last saw each other. So before we begin, I just want to do a brief mood check with you. How have you been feeling? How are you currently feeling?
I'm really feeling kind of down, pretty down.
Okay, can you tell me more about that?
I just visited my oldest daughter who lives out of state. She lives in Baltimore, and we just got back from there. She just had a baby. So we just got back from Maryland visiting her.
Okay, that sounds like an exciting trip.
It was, but it also made me sad. I feel like all my daughters are adults now and have all grown up, and I don't know what my place is there anymore. I don't feel like they need me.
Okay,
It just makes me.
I think we should talk about that more throughout this session. Would it be okay with you if we put that at the top of our agenda
Yeah,
for today's session?
yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay. Do you remember the thought record that we briefly talked about last week?
Mhm.
A little bit?
Mhm.
Okay. So I have one right here, and I think what you just said would be a perfect time to utilize our thought record. So, first, the first column here is to describe the situation.
Okay.
So, I think it would be good if it's okay with you if we kind of work through that situation together today
Okay.
in session.
Okay.
Can you describe the situation? Where were you? What were you doing?
Well, we just got back yesterday. So we flew from Baltimore back to Tampa yesterday morning, probably around 10 o'clock, and I could just feel this starting. Um, and we were just coming back. And
So you were like on the
the
airplane?
end of the trip, at the
Getting back
airport,
home.
on the plane, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What mood would you say you were feeling? Your overall mood? Would it be
Felt
sadness?
Really sad.
Okay.
Really
And
sad.
on a scale from 1 to 100%, what would your level of sadness be in that moment, do you think?
Probably 75, maybe 75%. Just felt really sad.
Okay. So that brings us to our third column here on the thought record. So this would be automatic thoughts or images that popped up in your head when when you were feeling these emotions. When we just did our mood check, you actually stated these automatic thoughts really clearly. Do you remember those thoughts? Could you write those down for us?
Yeah, just that I was like really sad and feeling like they didn't need me, all of that.
Yeah.
Right down. Okay.
And I want us to really look at that last thought that you said, your children don't need you anymore, because that's not really a feeling, that's a thought that you're having that sounds like a fact. So that's what I want us to focus on for the next two columns here.
Okay.
Okay. So the fourth column here is going to help us. The fourth and fifth column are going to help us kind of analyze these thoughts and check their accuracy. So your children don't need you anymore. What evidence do you have that supports that your children don't need you anymore?
I just feel that they're all very independent. Their lives are very successful without me. I feel like I miss them like crazy all the time, and I just don't feel like they have a place, not that they don't have a place for me in their lives, and that just makes this feeling like I really miss them, and I don't feel like I'm important enough for them to miss me.
Do your daughters live in Florida?
I have two daughters who've moved out of state. They both got married and moved out of state within the last few years. And then I have one daughter who still lives at home with her dad and I. So.
Okay. So it sounds like your third daughter, it sounds like she still relies on you for support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's independent. She has her life. She has a job. But yeah, yeah.
But that must be hard having your two other daughters live out of state, far away.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, it is. I just miss having them nearby. Miss having them close.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can think about, or is that would that be the main evidence that you have? It's just that they're not around you anymore and they don't live close to you anymore?
Um, well, they call me every day. I mean, I talk to them every day. And of course, I talk to my daughter who lives at home every day. Um,
Well, that would be good for our next column here, because that brings us to the next part of the thought record, which is what evidence do you have that doesn't support the automatic thought that your children don't need you? So, what did you just say about the phone calls?
well, I talk to them every day. My daughters who live out of state, they call, they'll call me every day and just kind of touch base and check
Mhm.
in. And my oldest daughter, the one that just had the baby, she'll call and ask for advice or ask for just help when she doesn't, the baby won't stop crying. How can I help her? And what did you used to do? And
Mhm.
things like that. So I do get to talk to them every day, and they talk to me, about their marriages and if they had a fight with their husband or
They come to you for
whatever.
guidance, it sounds like.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Yeah. All right. So then, looking at that evidence, do you think that it's 100% accurate to say that your children don't need you anymore?
Probably not. It just feels that way sometimes. I
Yeah.
guess it's just missing them that makes me kind of feel that way.
Yeah, and distance can make that difficult as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, you did a great job right now about, kind of setting this up so you can see the different parts of these automatic thoughts. Um, what I think would be a good exercise for you to do for homework is I want you to look at these last two columns of the thought record and think of an alternative or balanced thought now that you know 100% that this automatic thought isn't accurate 100%.
Uh-huh.
So why don't you give me an example while we're here in session of a different thought that you could say instead of my children don't need me anymore?
Well, my children still need me. It's just different. Um, they need me to help them navigate through adult life, which is a lot different than like, making sure their lunches are packed and kissing them when they get home from school and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But just, talking to them every day, we're still close. We
Mm-hmm.
still communicate a lot. So that kind of makes me feel like this is silly. Of course, they still need me. It's just different because
Yeah.
they're adults. They're not kids anymore. So
And how would you rate your sadness now?
it feels better. I mean, it's, maybe 30%, 25%, 30%,
That's excellent.
but it feels better. And it's kind of neat to have that kind of unpacked because sometimes I just don't know how to work around feeling
Well, it's
that.
overwhelming. And these automatic thoughts that we have, they're based on core beliefs that we've had since childhood. So it's really hard to restructure these thoughts that we have because they are automatic and
Mm-hmm.
they're how we've thought for most of our lives. So that's what this record is for, is so you can actually break down these thoughts and look at them in a different way and look at it more accurately and more realistically and just kind of seeing it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So to add to that with, I think you should come back in next week if that works for you. We can set up a time next week.
Okay.
And for homework, if you have any other alternative thoughts to this original thought, feel
Okay.
free to jot those down and we can discuss it.
Okay.
Also, anytime that you have another, if you feel like your mood is shifting and you're getting these thoughts again.
These prompts are good down here too.
Yeah, and then there's these, questions that you can ask yourself
Right.
and think of when you're feeling these emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to jot down those situations and those moods and those thoughts as well.
Okay.
And then we can discuss those. If you feel comfortable and you want to try it out, try to fill out these last two columns for the situations that you come up with as well.
Oh, okay.
But if you aren't really sure about this yet, that's fine. We can talk about it more next week. But I think that'll really help you work through some of those, negative thoughts that you've been having.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, or was there anything that was kind of unclear about the thought record, or?
No, it was really kind of cool how just going through these distinct steps kind of helps you unpack it so that it doesn't have that oppressive kind of feeling to it anymore.
Exactly.
So that's great, and I can see this almost kind of as a journaling tool, like when you're feeling really upset or whatever, being able to write it down, then hopefully learning how to unpack those things myself. So
absolutely. And if you need, if you're sometimes when people are having these emotions and these thoughts, they can't really sit down and think logically about it at that moment. If you need to go back and fill out the evidence part after that emotion passes, but definitely try to record the situation and the mood,
right,
and then thoughts that are going through your head at that time.
Okay.
And then fill out the rest, once you've kind of come back to your baseline emotion. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me or reach out to me. But we'll definitely schedule an appointment for next week, and then we'll talk more about this in detail.
All right. Sounds great.
All right, Laura. Well, it was great to see you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you
for your help.